The man that came to the house, I think, was a doctor. This didn't make too much sense to me because no one in the family had been sick. While him and Mom were talking in the other room, me and Sophie tried listening to their conversation like any 6-year-old would do when a stranger was in the house. We couldn't hear them very well, so we kept playing, again like 6-year-olds do. They were in there a very long time. We made stories about who he could be and what he's doing. Sophie said he's a doctor and he's doing surgery. I joked that they're painting the room a cool blue color to match their bed set, or that they're talking to Santa Claus about if we were good for the year. We were both wrong. We both creeped up to the door again to see if we could hear anything since the TV stopped playing and now it was quiet. Sophie and I were slightly upset to discover that he worked for the church. We've never been. We're not Christian. The only thing we could hear through the door was prayer, so obviously we didn't recognize it. They just kept saying Jesus and God. We thought it was a little silly because that's the first time our mom had ever really done anything religious, and we were afraid she was going to start making us do it with her. They finished and came out of the room like nothing happened, and she led him out the front door. We asked, and she wouldn't tell us anything. Sophie kept pestering, but I gave up after a couple of, "Who was he?" She finally calmed down and asked if we could get lunch because I'm positive they were in there praying for more than 2 hours. After lunch that day, I started feeling a little sick to my stomach. I thought maybe it was the sandwich bread or the mayonnaise went bad or something. But Sophie was fine. She had chicken nuggets that day. I just thought it was strange because I don't remember ever getting sick from food like that. I was stuck in bed with what I now know is food poisoning, and I kept begging and begging my mom to help me, but she kept ignoring me. Sophie would bring me water and Tums, which now is hilarious to me because Tums is for heartburn, not for food poisoning. But what can you do when you're a little kid? It lasted about 2 days, and I recovered, but I had a headache that wouldn't go away. Over the course of about 2 weeks, that doctor would come every single day, and they would go in the room and pray for an hour or two. Every single day. While they did that, me and Sophie would watch our movies and play with our toys, and when the TV started turning off or changed channels, we would go to our toys. If our toys started making noises by themselves and moving, we would go back to the TV. I think I remember asking the man if he could fix the lights and the TV to make them stop turning off randomly. He just looked at me and left. After that, they started burning sage. I remember it smelled awful. It gave me a headache. It made me irritated and upset. My behavior spiraled every time they burned sage. I would black out. When I woke back up after the sage was done, I was in the room on the bed. This time the man was standing next to the bed on my right. He was tossing holy water on me, praying, burning sage, the whole big thing you see on TV about exorcisms. At the time, I didn't know what was happening. I was begging my mom to stop and the man to stop, but they kept going. The sage smoke was so close to my nose it choked me and made me throw up a few times. That was the reaction they wanted, I guess, because they kept doing it. I was begging them to stop, screaming for them to stop, saying I'll clean my room more, I'll pick up after myself, anything to make them stop. They eventually stopped when I stopped fighting it. My mom unstrapped me from the bed and hugged me. She told me that the thing inside me was gone, and I don't have to worry anymore. At this point, I was incredibly confused because I had no clue what she meant. After that day, the man only came back sporadically, and for reasons I now understand as an adult.